Hello and welcome to episode number 71 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim. And today, does community even really matter?
All right, welcome to today's episode. Before we get into it, we need to talk about our sponsor. Get that out of the way real quick.
Raid Shadow Legend.
So we're talking about our sponsor, Amazon Audible. If you head over to our affiliate link, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness, check out our affiliate link. You can sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon Audible. Do you like audiobooks? Do you like books? Audiobooks in general, the ones where you can listen to them. Who's got time to actually read books? My wife does. My wife loves reading. My wife loves to read. I think she reads like 3 or 4 books a month. She absolutely loves it. But for someone like me, I feel like I don't have the time to sit down and actually read a book. I have much more time to have someone else read me the book via an audiobook. I enjoy that too because it adds a different another layer, another depth to it with the voice acting, right? Because it's not just someone reading blandly to you, right? They're really performing the book for you, and it's a lot of fun. So if you follow our affiliate link, you can sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible service and get a free book. That's right. You sign up for your free trial, you get a free book, and if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get 2 free credits. That's right, 2 free credits added to your account. And the nice thing is, if you don't even like the service, you can cancel before the end of the 30 days. Keep those free credits on your account. So again, head over to our affiliate link, audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness to sign up for your free 30-day trial today. Don't delay. Check it out. All right. All right. So today we're talking about, you know what, like, does community even really matter? It's an interesting way to phrase the question, right? I mean, Jim and I, we've been in the tabletop space for years now, right?
I built my entire life for community.
Now, you're saying like in the tabletop space or just like in general?
In general.
In general.
All the people that I've met on online games, in-person stuff as well. Like, man, so much of it.
And see, I feel like community is just it can be a throwaway word. It can be a catchphrase, a term that large companies use and abuse as a marketing ploy to get people to buy into their product, to buy into their game, and say, "Oh yeah, come join our growing, thriving community." But don't really do much or anything to support that community or game or community built around the game. Now, like most of our conversations recently, okay, I want to take this conversation, okay, at the end of the episode, we're going to make an application to Disney Lorcana, okay, and kind of what we are looking for, what we are hoping for, and kind of make that application. So for those of you who have been enjoying our Lorcana conversations, stay tuned towards the end of the episode for that. But don't go anywhere because I think you're going to enjoy the conversation even before then. So Jim, I want to ask you, like, when someone says in the tabletop space, like when they say community, just you hear the word community, like what does that mean to you?
Ooh, man, I instantly just start thinking about all the people that I've met, all the friends that I've made, and I guess that's the instant thought into my head when talking about community. Everyone that I've met,
because I feel like community is one of those words, phrases that does have a distinct meaning, right? But it's also one of those things that like means different things to different people. Yeah. And in that, I think because people who have gotten different things out of their community, right? You know, their community means has a special place in their heart because they helped them through this difficult time in their life or whatever reason. So when I say means different things to different people, I think it's a visceral feeling of specific instances in people's lives where they've had specific conversations with certain people around certain topics and have taken away certain feelings from those conversations and have just gotten this sense of enjoyment, gratification, love, right? And that's why I say I think it means different things to different people, because like what you've gotten out of your time in these communities, in your time in the space, is going to be different from me, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's why I say, and I think you'd agree with me, right? From this, when I say that it means different things to different people, but at the end of the day, right? When we say community, it's one of those like overarching terms, right? That yes means different things to different people, but I think at the end of the day means the same thing to everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, would you agree with that? Because I'm saying a lot of different it's
hard.
weird.
It's hard for me to say exactly because it's just difficult for me to kind of see what it is that other people are using it as. Because it's like, all right, what is the most general, bland definition of it? It's just like the group of people that play or have an interest in specific thing.
Yeah. So going off that.
So yeah, I don't know if it's like a bunch of different things, but it's all the same thing. So it's difficult.
So let's step back for a second, right? And so many times on this show before, I've stepped back and said, okay, let's define our terms. Right?
Yeah.
So when we say community, like what does community like actually mean? Well, I mean, I don't have the definition pulled up in front of me, right? but if you say community, like what is community? It's a group of people who have come together around a common thing that could be a common geography. It could be a common interest. It could be a common social group. Okay. It could be any different thing, right? But at the heart of it, it's a group of people who are formed around a shared interest or a shared thing. Okay. So within the tabletop space, right, there's really kind of one form of community that we're typically referring to is a group of people who have come together around their shared love of a game.
Yeah.
Typically. Okay. Now let's take our local area, for instance, where we met, Grapple Games. Okay. Grapple Games was its own community, right?
Yeah.
It was the Grapple Games community.
Yeah.
Within that community, you had multiple different smaller communities. You had sub-communities, essentially. Okay. Now, all of those communities were all a part of the Grapple Games community.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So within that, we had the Magic community. We had there was a small Pokemon community. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh community.
Yep.
There was a D&D community.
Yep.
There were multiple different and I say sub-communities because that's the best way that I can think of to describe it. Okay. It's these smaller communities that were formed at this local
we'll call them
store.
Gangs. We had the Magic Gang, the Yu-Gi-Oh
That's
Gang.
actually perfect. Yeah, you got the Magic Gang, the Pokemon Gang, the Yu-Gi-Oh Gang. Yeah, you got all the different gangs, right?
Yeah.
And while we really weren't rival gangs, okay, we were just fellow gangs, a part of the one larger mafia.
Yeah.
Right? So at its
we're gonna
heart,
be put on a list somewhere, Dan. Like someone's not gonna know we're joking.
So at the heart, community is a group of people with a shared interest, a shared or a common interest.
Okay, all right, I get what you're saying.
So that is like at its core, I think that's what the base definition of community is. Okay. Yeah. So like that's how communities start.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it's just a group of people. Okay. Now, when I said earlier, it means different things to different people, right? Because that's how it starts. Okay. That's what, I don't want to say that's what gets you in the door, right? But it's what is an obvious byproduct of your love for a game. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you want to go, again, how I got plugged into Grapple was I wanted to learn Magic. Okay, I wanted to play Magic, and so I found the local store, went there, and then, that's how I met all of these people. Okay. Now, when I say means different things to different people, right? That's how it starts. That's how I got in the door. But what I got out of the community, okay, was different from what Jim got out of the community. Okay. And that's what I mean when I say
I got the most value out of this.
But that's what I mean when I say it means different things to different people, right? We all started, okay, just as a group of people who met around a common and shared interest in tabletop games. Okay. Because again, with local communities, that's typically how it starts is we want to play these tabletop games. Okay. And we go to the local game store and that's how we meet. Okay. Yeah. And then we start finding the games that we enjoy. And then, hey, you like playing this game? Cool. You like playing this game too? Cool. Those guys over there, they play a game that I don't particularly enjoy, but I know who they are. But I have a different relationship with that group over there than I have with this group here who's playing the same game as me.
Yep.
Okay. So, and all of this is, it's fundamental, but it's also, it's obvious, right? So it's that is very obvious. Okay. So, that's what we mean when we say, when we're talking about like, what is community?
So I completely understand then. It's the same thing of the people coming together for specific thing, common interest. Yeah. But then what I get out of community from what other people get, from what a completely different person gets, like to all of us, it's all different, even though it's the exact same thing necessarily.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then I'd say so.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, take us, for instance. Okay. When I started going to Grapple, okay, and I have my relationships and my friendships that I got out of Grapple, okay, and you have yours. Yeah. Now we have our own relationship, right? But the relationships that you have, and even with the same people that I have relationships with, okay, and again, this is something that's like, it's really hard to like objectively put your finger on and define, because it's very intrinsic. It's very intrinsic and emotional. Yeah. Okay. Like the things that you've gotten out of your relationships is whatever they've been. Right. And then I, of course, have gotten my own enjoyments and fulfillments and emotions out of my relationships, right? Yeah. Most likely they're not going to be the exact same things, because we're different people, right? And that's exactly what I am talking about, right? And I think, okay, I know we started the episode by kind of casually throwing off does community really matter?
Was that clickbait, Dan?
Yeah. But I think anyone who is really plugged into the tabletop space, like, sees that question and is like, well, duh, yeah, absolutely, okay, and for many different reasons, right? So this past weekend, was it? Yeah, I think it was this past weekend. There was the MTG Summit.
Oh, okay.
So the MTG Summit, which our friend AJ went to. Okay. I saw a lot of his posts on Facebook and Instagram.
Where was the summit at?
It was in Salt Lake City. Oh, I believe it was in Salt Lake City.
I'm thinking of the thing that happened in Vegas.
Yeah,
at the end of last month.
No, okay. not Magic 30.
Okay.
No, this was different. So anyway, that was this past weekend. Recently, Flesh and Blood had their Worlds, I think. Yeah. I think it's their World Championships. Okay. And these large events, okay, with community at the focus and at the forefront, okay, of these events, okay. MTG Summit, there were thousands of people at this event, all coming around one game, Magic the Gathering. And all these people who many of them didn't know one another, okay? But they had a shared and common interest of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood, same thing. Now, albeit a different setting, in other words, it was a tournament setting, right? But still, it was a tournament setting, but also, again, a large social gathering of people who were coming together around a common theme game of Flesh and Blood. Okay. Now, I say all that, okay. Recently, there was an article in Polygon, okay. Title of the article is Flesh and Blood. MTG's upstart competitor has found strength in community. James White, the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour turned entrepreneur on the new TCG, taking the world by storm.
It's such a good article.
Very good article. We will link it in the show notes and the description down below. So if you want to check it out, go follow that link. So the article, the Charlie Hall, who does a lot of the tabletop news over at Polygon, interviewed James White, which I did not know James White was a Magic the Gathering Pro
Neither
Tour.
did
I did not know he was a pro. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me because I feel like just about anybody in the card game space at one point or another was big into Magic and did fairly well, which makes sense because I mean, Magic's been around now for 30 years, right? I mean, it doesn't surprise me like at all. Like just about all these big names in the card game space played Magic. Like either professionally or they played at high levels.
Richard Garfield was definitely not one of them.
I mean, he's kind of in a class all his own.
Yeah, it's completely different for him.
I mean, he's
which actually happens quite a lot. Like when a creator of something, they just aren't. They're instantly not the best at it, right?
Yeah, right.
There's just going to be better people than you.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're bad at your own game, that's just a bad thing.
Yeah. But Richard Garfield he has made so many great things.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you talk to him, if he would like, because I know, like when I talk to anybody and I say like, I think of myself as a player first over anything. He'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not a player. I'm the creator.
He's the
creator. Like, and that's what he always focuses on. Yeah. Like, cause you can do both things. Like you can create, but then you can play and then you can be good at one or both. Right. But he's just like, yeah, no, I just deal with the creating it. And he's really good at it, like really good. Yeah, it reminds me of the phrase "stay in your lane." Not that I'm telling Richard Garfield to stay in his lane, absolutely not.
But if you're listening to this, he didn't tell you to not stay in your lane.
Yeah, right. Keep doing that though. Keep making amazing games, please. Yeah. But all right, so back to the article. Okay, now the article goes not into great length, but it does go into depth about the beginnings and creation of Flesh and Blood, okay? And James White's essentially his principles, okay? His principles of the design of Flesh and Blood. I mean, it is literally in the name, Flesh and Blood, okay? He wanted to create a game with community at the forefront. So Flesh and Blood is a TCG that will never be played digitally because he wants people to come together around a table and experience and play this game.
Does that mean he's going to ban every single asset on Tabletop Simulator?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because that would be a lot of work and a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of
which he might like. Could he do that? Absolutely, he could. But it's one of those. Do you want to fight that battle?
Right.
Because I don't know much about Tabletop Simulator, right? But I'm pretty sure it's open source. Okay.
Yeah, people can just import their own
stuff.
Yeah,
people can import anything. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so you would have to look at you have to look at the rules, regulations, and laws surrounding copyright, open source, all of that stuff, right? Which again, that's going to take people with more time and who are a lot smarter than me in in these areas to actually go into. Which again, that's what lawyers are for, right? So I don't know if that's something that he'll ever look into, but I mean. I don't think you have to do that to tell people like there's not going to be an arena. There's not going to be an arena counterpart, right?
No,
there will not be an official digital client of the game because again, he wants, and I think the people who play Flesh and Blood like are on board with that because I think fundamentally you have a different player like who plays Magic and then who plays Flesh and Blood. I think for the most part, the people who play Flesh and Blood are bought in to the mentality and the ideology, okay, of I want to play this with a physical person in front of me around a table. Yeah. I think, like I could be wrong, but that's just what I think. Okay. Now I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of people who are like, man, I wish, like the convenience.
I feel like most people just want something new. Not even so much specifically, I'm going to be playing it with another person across from me. I feel like it'd just be something new.
I don't know. Because I think you would agree with me that there is a fundamental difference at playing a game of Magic against someone in an arena on a computer who is not in the same room as me versus sitting down at a table and playing that same person.
Yeah, I'm more so meaning like if you're in one of these other card games, right, and you're used to playing in person, I just don't know how many people are either coming over from a completely another game and like someone brand new just being like, oh, I want to get into this because they care about local events. I have no idea.
But I think that is one of the biggest things that drew people to Flesh and Blood. And the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
The numbers do not lie. And that's the thing with Flesh and Blood. And because you were talking about it, it was what, a 6,000% increase in revenue?
Yeah, in the last 3 years, 6.4K increase. Yeah.
Yeah. 6,416%.
I was going to say 6,412. That was close.
Close.
6,416.
Yeah,
okay.
6416% over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Making it one of New Zealand's most successful new companies in 22 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So Flesh and Blood is a hit, a card game now played on virtually every continent and sold at more than 3,200 game stores. A hobby in and of itself that is played weekly by more than 2,500 different local communities all around the world. Now, what's interesting to me is I had a conversation last night with a fellow content creator, and we were talking about, Magic and Flesh and Blood, okay, and just local communities around these card games. Because one of the biggest things, okay, I think one of the biggest things when it comes to picking up and playing a card game is answering the question, who am I going to play this with?
Yeah.
And where does that start? That starts at your local game store. That starts at your LGS and finding people who are going to play that game with you. Okay. Because if there's no one if there is no one in your local community to play the game with, are you dead in the water? No, not anymore. Not in 2022 into 2023 with the advent of all this digital technology, right? But it's a lot easier when there are people who live down the street from you who go to the same store as you who are going to play that same game, okay? Yep. So anyway, I was having this conversation, and when Flesh and Blood was still new, now granted, Flesh and Blood is 3 years old.
It is still new.
It is still new. It is still a young up-and-comer.
Yep.
The local stores in their area, they were saying people were not going to support it. They're like, yeah, this is going to die. We're not going to support it. Now, granted, when it was still new, and yes, it's still new. However, it has shown that it will make money, it can make money, and that Legend Story Studios cares about local game stores because they are prioritizing in-person play, they are prioritizing community over profits, over revenue. Now, obviously those things are important, but Legend Story Studios cares about local communities and wants to see local communities grow. Because they know, Legend Story Studios knows that at the heart of any successful card game is successful local communities growing the game. Because like it's a team effort. Like honestly, successful card games that we talked about last week about the keys to a successful card game, right? Like it really is a team effort between the developers and the designers of these games and the local game stores who are going to push and sell product. And it's more than just pushing and selling product, but it's also developing and forming those local communities around the game and finding people who are going to play that and then grow those groups of people. I mean, you can't have one without the other, but it's a lot more difficult to grow a game without both. Would you agree?
So, all right. So it's difficult for me because, you know, I also come from online gaming background, right? And there's a lot of times where these games can also just be really big and there's no form of physical card game to it at all, or physical game.
We're not talking about digital games.
Okay.
We are not talking about digital games.
All right, so then
because that's a completely
all right, even just digital card games is also what I'm throwing out there.
That's still different.
Okay.
Because Flesh and Blood specifically is not a digital game. It's not a digital card game.
Yes.
I'm not. So again, what I'm saying is you can't have, like, you need both to grow, are physical card games. Forget about digital components because we're not talking about digital components. And I think that's a separate conversation.
Okay. All right. So like that's insular mind
because you don't need a local game store to play a digital.
I thought
card
we were
game.
like comparing the two things. Or okay, yeah. In my brain, I was just like, are we comparing like what you need for one and not the other one?
No. This is 100% talking about physical card games.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, so you tell me, how do you grow a physical card game? Because
all right, then to grow the physical card game, it's
like for it to be successful,
important.
For it to be successful, you absolutely need both. Like you need thriving local communities. Because again, digital card games throw all of this on its head.
Yeah.
They throw all of it on its head. I don't need to go to the local game store to play Arena. I don't need to go to the local game store to play Legends of Runeterra.
Yeah.
Like it throws it all out the window. Okay. Yeah. But again, the relationships, I think the relationships you make in person, and again, now kind of comparing and contrasting, right? Online and in person.
Now we're getting into this talk.
See, I think the relationships you make with people in real life, not they're going to be more meaningful than relationships you make just over the internet, but I think they are more, at least initially, right? I think they're initially more intimate and more personal than relationships you make with someone without even seeing them in person. Because I think I think at the end of the day, even because I think there's a lot of relationships that start on online communities with people that you meet on the internet. And then if you ever are able to meet those people, that just takes it like through the roof, 100%. Right?
I was going to say, like, in terms of short term, right? Yeah, I think the in-person relationships you build it's short term. It's definitely better, right? But like that burst of like, I don't even know what to call it. Dopamine, I don't know.
Yes.
It's like of like when you meet after like a year of talking to people online and then you finally get to meet everyone. It's like a completely different Yeah.
Yeah, you get that shot of dopamine.
It's a huge shot of dopamine.
You get that shot of dopamine. Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's I think definitely in terms of short term being able to have that in person physical or whatever relationship having in comparison to a purely mental and like emotional connection you get with people with being online. Just like being by each other and just hanging out rather than talking online. It's a completely different thing.
We talk about the positive enforcement of, you get that shot of dopamine, right?
Yeah.
When you meet that person. But think about it also from the opposite, okay? But you find out that person that you were talking to isn't even real and doesn't even really like you.
Yeah.
Or right?
Yeah.
You find out, oh, you're pretending to be somebody you're really not.
Yeah. Honestly, there were probably red flags that people weren't just paying attention to, and then they kind of got themselves into position you don't want to be in.
Right, but what I'm saying is like you have that you have that positive side, but then you also have that negative side.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying like that's a bad thing about online communities. All I'm saying is emotions are real, and they can be really high, but then they can also be really, really low too.
And so when I was in Vegas last month, and I got to meet a bunch of people that I've known from Splinterlands for the last year, right?
Yeah.
It was so great and amazing meeting every single person. But it was like the drop off, like when I was leaving Vegas and I wasn't going to be hanging around with these people, like it hits hard.
Yeah.
Right. Your emotions go from like really positive, all happy to what is going on, the things that you got so used to. Or if it was just, oh, you met someone that you've been talking to for a while online. And then the next day it's like, oh, when am I going to see this person again? In comparison to, it's more of a constant thing with people in person because it's like, oh, I'm going to see Dan next week.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to see Brady next week. I'm going to see Noah next week. I'm going to see X person tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Rather than I'll see them in a year.
But that's also the nice thing about the advent of digital technology is we can see each other more frequently, albeit not in person, but we still have the ability and capacity to talk to and see one another on a more frequently than we're physically able to. And like I don't ever want to downplay that ability to do that because I think it's important. Okay. Again, I say that, but also I recognize the differences between seeing someone digitally versus seeing them in person. Right. Yeah. They're very different. Right. But again, I don't want it to seem like if you're going to meet somebody, you only should meet them in person and never have any communications with people on the internet. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. But I think having those in-person relationships don't sacrifice those relationships and those meetings over your digital ones, the digital communities. Okay. Don't forsake your in-person real communities with online communities. Okay. Because
speaking of that, be sure to join our Discord group.
Yeah, that's a good plug actually. Yeah, for our Discord, we do have a Discord server, which it's free. It's free to anybody just to join. We want to make some certain lounges for people if they want to have certain conversations. But it's our Discord is always going to be open to anyone who wants to join and come and hang out and just talk with either myself or Jim, and just kind of meet other people again with shared and common interests, right? So again, going back to that question. Like, is community really that important? Yeah, it definitely is. It for certain and sure is, because again, we're talking about a space, okay? The tabletop space that's in, like, there is a social aspect inherent in the space, right? Like, you can't have, and we've talked about it for all ever. like that's one of the things that we constantly harp on, right? Is the community and the social aspect of all these games. Right? There's, yes, I play the game to play the game because I enjoy it. I like it. But also there's people who I don't even like the game. I'm just gonna come hang out and enjoy the social aspects of just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, how often are you playing a game that you don't even want to play just to enjoy people's company?
Or for content. I'm not even going to talk about it, dude.
Speaking of, you want to play? You want to play that?
I'm busy. I'm busy that day, whatever day it is. So kind of going off what you're saying there is, we've had this talk before of I enjoy playing so many card games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be nearly as into Magic if everyone around me didn't play it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it could be my favorite game in the planet, but if there's no one who's playing it at a LGS, I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm going to either be sitting on these or maybe try and sell some stuff off, go play Yu-Gi-Oh, go play Pokemon. Probably not going to play Vanguard, so hopefully that one doesn't get big in the area again. It's upsetting, Dan. So
I was actually that conversation I was having yesterday.
Yeah,
we were talking about you and Vanguard actually.
Oh, okay. All good things, I hope.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, it's for me specifically, it's whatever not like a majority of people, but a lot of the people that I hang out with, it's kind of whatever they're playing, I kind of just mold into and get into.
So that's a perfect point of absolutely community is important.
Yeah.
Right? Because like our game choices sometimes are going to be 100% dependent upon what our community is into, what our community is playing.
Yep.
Like that's why I got into Commander. Initially, because I'm at the store, I am playing in these standard tournaments, and I see so many people having so much fun around Commander. I'm like, what is this?
It's like, I'm not having fun in this BS format.
Now, granted, at the time I was having fun, but where the community was around the Commander pods.
Yep.
Was the Commander tables.
It was like in between every single round, I guess you'd say, whenever someone finishes their match, they go stand by the Commander players to watch what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. And like, so when I was playing at Grapple, okay, what would normally happen was the standard tournament would take place. Once the standard tournament finished was when the Commander pods started playing.
Yeah.
It slowly morphed into people would not play in the standard tournament to play in Commander pods. Yeah. And that was a slow drip. Yeah. That was a slow drip until eventually nobody was playing in the standard tournaments.
Yeah, we could barely even fire.
And everyone was just playing Commander pods.
Yeah.
And so again, like you had that social dynamic of, okay, you have these different social groups of people playing standard, people playing Commander. Like if I had the ability and opportunity to play standard if I wanted to. Yeah. Okay. But that was slowly dwindling. Week after week after week because people were going from standard to playing Commander.
Yep.
And so if I wanted to join the Commander group, I had to play Commander, right? And so that was what initially got me into playing Commander at Grapple.
Yeah, and it seems like whenever you're able to turn games into, I guess, like a more social thing with just more people able to be playing all together, it tends to be just the better choice for games in general.
Yeah,
I think.
So what you're saying specifically is if there's a way to play a game that has more people other than a 2-player game, that's typically the better choice, essentially.
Yeah. I don't want to say like better choice for like company aspect.
No, for social, just for the social aspect.
Yeah. For people, for individuals is what I should say. For the people, it tends to be better overall.
Okay. Can you
a more fun experience is what I'll say.
Okay.
A more enjoyable experience.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, look, take our two-headed giant experience. There was 4 of us. Yeah. Okay. That was a much different experience than playing one-on-one with someone. Yeah. Because again, like inherently, the more people you have, the more the more choices that need to be made, the more the more there's more social dynamics, right, than just with one-on-one play, right? And so I mean, take party games, like take Unstable Unicorns. Here's like all those games that you can play with 4, 5, 6 people. You know, you're gonna have you are going to have more fun because there's more people playing the game. Right. Now it's hard to compare and contrast because it's just a different experience than it is playing head to head one on one with
somebody. Teamwork building activity.
Sure, yeah. There's so many more social dynamics and social aspects that go into those experiences than one on one head to head play. And for the most part, they're typically positive experiences. Unless you have somebody who is like a complete drag and taking the entire experience down for every single person.
Which
I don't know who would that could be.
Who would do that?
Who do that?
Anywho, and I think that's partially why D&D in the RPG space is not only the biggest one, but I guess it is just the most popular. It's the easiest to get into because they're not even so much caring about like, oh, this is my character sheet. I have to have every single thing perfect and whatnot. So that it's more of now just a numbers game and playing like that to where now they're going into, it doesn't really matter what race you pick. It doesn't really matter class. You kind of just pick like your aesthetic, how you want to do combat stuff, and if there's any outside things. And they turn it more into just a socializing thing, and it's just like, all right, what is it that you want to do? Well, all right, let's do that. We're all going to have fun. And then your DM should be like adjusting things of like, all right, well, if everyone is super not at full power level, why am I going to be giving them things stronger than what they would be at full power level when we know they're at like 50% or 75%, you know?
Right.
So it's more of just a social thing now, especially for me.
Yeah. And D&D is like the prime example of how important community and the social aspect is to tabletop gaming. Not even card gaming, just tabletop gaming in of itself. And I know we've talked many times about like card gaming being its own like individual subgenre, right, within the tabletop space. But like from the community aspect, like it's still very much just like all the others in the space, in the tabletop space is. And that's why people play these games around the table is the social aspect, the community. And when we say the social aspect, like that is community. Like that absolutely is community. Like Gen Con, Spiel, all of these different conventions, like why do we have these conventions?
I can't wait to go to Gen Con again, man.
It's same. Like it's the just getting all these people gathered together around a common cause, around a shared love and a shared interest. And so like you will never take the social aspects and the community out of the tabletop space, and nor should you, because like it's inherent to these games, and as such, it is vitally important to these games. So when you have companies who don't put community at the forefront, and maybe not even necessarily at the forefront, but recognize its value and its importance to the success of their game, then I think they're going to be doomed to fail. And we've seen it time and time again, right? And I feel like there is, plenty of games that are even popular, but are diminishing in popularity. Maybe not even necessarily popularity, but just diminishing in grandeur, because they are not putting that sense of community at the forefront. They're putting profits, they're putting value ahead of not only the community, but community as a whole. Okay. So speaking of all of that, okay, let's apply this to Lorcana. Okay. what can Ravensburger and Disney Lorcana do to not fail when it comes to the aspect of community? I think the first thing, and this is a separate topic for a different day, but organized play. Because I think when you say organized play, okay, I think community has to be part of organized play, and I think it is, right? It is inherently, because again, in order to have a successful organized play system, there needs to be communities around the game.
Yeah. When I instantly think of organized play, it always goes to competitive play.
Yeah.
But I think that's partially just because of like a Pokemon thing. When they talk about their organized play, it tends to be like, oh, come to this tournament.
Yeah.
Come to this tournament.
Yeah, the organized play, the OP kits, of whether they're good or not. And again, I fully recognize when I say organized play, that's another topic. And we've talked about organized play before in other episodes. I think it was like episode 16 and 17 maybe. But that is a conversation that I kind of want to revisit and again directly make this application to Lorcana and how games specifically like Lorcana need to have organized play at its forefront. And I mean, and when we had those conversations, right, was around the time, I believe, when the Magic Pro Tour was dead. Yeah. Like it was dead and or dying. Yeah. But now, like, hasn't it made a comeback? They're doing it. They're bringing it back, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. They were pretty much saying that they're bringing it back
because they realized how big they screwed up. I think.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like maybe kind of seeing Flesh and Blood stuff popping off.
Absolutely, Flesh and Blood is doing community right.
Yeah,
and I think Lorcana, Ravensburger needs to look at what Legend Story Studios is doing and has done with Flesh and Blood and take notes.
Yeah.
Because Flesh and Blood has grown significantly in 3 years.
Yeah. I also think that, so in that article, they talk about their living legend system, like they're kind of their ban list.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know,
which is very interesting.
Yeah. It's a mix. Well, I guess it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh's, right? But there's Yu-Gi-Oh, they tend to just be like, oh, every couple months we're just going to give you a new ban list, and like Konami gets to decide what it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's oh goodness. With Flesh and Blood, there's no rotating format. You can use all the cards, but when a hero gets to it's 1,000 victory points in these tournaments.
In the tournaments, yeah.
Once it reaches 1,000, it becomes a living legend, and it retires into the Hall of Fame. Once it's there, it can no longer be played in tournament play. So if there's like one big, ridiculously broken card, maybe for 2 months you're going to see it being played everywhere, and then no more gameplay for it.
The interesting thing about the heroes in Flesh and Blood is I think they're aren't they all like tokens? I think aren't all the heroes like common? Like there's not like a rare hero?
I actually don't know. That I don't know.
If you're a Fab player, let us know. Because Flesh and Blood is so much fun. Flesh and Blood is a lot of fun.
That's a cool game.
But I think they are, and the only reason I say that is I remember from cracking packs, if I recall, that in every pack was a hero.
I
think there was a hero in every pack.
And then like on the other side of them, sometimes there was a weapon.
Yeah.
So in the early ones, there was sometimes a weapon on it,
and then a young version of the hero.
In the new ones, they started making it the young version and like the older version. Yeah. And or it's Blitz and Classic or whatever it's called. And so, which makes perfect sense that you have the younger version, and depending on what format you're playing, right?
Right.
And then it used to be, it's like, oh, this is my hero, this is my commander, whatever you want to call it. And then on the other side is his weapons. So then, like, if you have another weapon for a completely different summoner. What are these things called? Heroes, man. Too much other games, man. Too many other games. Yeah. So then it's just like, all right, well, I got my brute with his club, and then I got my wizard with his staff, and it's just like you're flipping cards.
Yeah.
More than one.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. But in any case, I think Legend Story Studios has done it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially from the community standpoint. Yeah. So I think Ravensburger definitely needs to look at what they've done to grow their game and just really how they've made community such a big factor into the game. Now, I think we also need to look at, like, who is Ravensburger specifically targeting with this product, with Disney Lorcana. Yeah. They're not targeting the same people that Legend Story Studios is targeting with Flesh and Blood. I mean, they're not, right? Now, it's going to appeal to those people like us, okay? It's definitely going to appeal to us. However, are we, our Magic players, our Flesh and Blood players, are we the target audience for this? I don't think so. I don't particularly think so. Again, and we've talked about this before, like Lorcana is very much, I really think Lorcana and Pokemon are extremely closely knit. They're very, very, very similar in game, like in the game itself, but also like the people that they're targeting, right, with the game itself, right? So that being said, like they're targeting little kids, okay, Disney fans, and hopefully getting them into the game, right? And then their family members by, tangentially, okay? And then there's hopefully going to be that strategic depth for people like us. So it remains to be seen how much of a focus Ravensburger is going to put on organized play and the overall sense of community for the game. Because communities are already being formed around this game, and we don't even know how the game plays yet. Okay,
I can't wait to know how to play it, man.
Same. Wait. I'm.
Then I'll go buy a $2,000 Mickey. Don't go buy a $2,000 Mickey.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I was, in fact, this conversation I had yesterday, I was like, I doubt we're going to hear anything this year. I doubt we're going to hear anything before next year.
I assume not.
I really don't think so.
Yeah.
But again, we shall see. We shall see. But again, I really hope Ravensburger just really takes the community under their wing and really just goes with them and provides the support that the communities are looking for.
Yeah.
Provides those relationships, right, within the Lorcana community, right? And says, hey, we see you, we recognize you. What can we do to help? And, because again, like there are Ravensburger employees in the Discord, right? They don't, they're kept very much under wraps, like with what they can say, which is fine. And that's fun too. Like it can very much be fun. Right. But they're there, like they're seen, they make themselves seen and heard, and hopefully people within that Discord, like see that and appreciate it. Like I certainly do. Right. I enjoy having those conversations. Like, oh, hey, you're a Ravensburger employee. That's cool. Like, it's nice to just be able to talk to somebody who is actively working on this game, right? And so hopefully those relationships and those conversations increase, okay? And the community knows that, hey, we're here. We want you all to enjoy this game. What can we do to help? Like, what can we give you to, I say give you, right? But mostly in like emotional support, right? Not like what physically can we give you, right?
What financial benefits can you give us?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I don't know, like from your experience, like, is there anything in particular that you would want, like from companies, like, whether digitally, physically, or whatever?
Oh man, it's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
I like scarcity in cards. So for Yu-Gi-Oh, they tend to print a lot of like the same cards.
Okay.
I like having, I guess, not really short prints, right? But cards that just tend to not really get printed. Like you print it in one set,
Yeah.
and you go to the next set, and you like never print those cards again. And till maybe like a collector thing that happens like every, I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh does it every year.
You don't like seeing the same card being reprinted every year.
Yeah.
So you don't like, oh shoot, what's that one card?
I would like for cards to have value.
Surprise, surprise.
And grow in value. That's what I would like. Don't be like, oh yeah, this $50 card we reprinted is now $2. You mother. And I know it's not great in terms of especially for competitive play. If a bunch of people need those one specific cards, I know it's rough at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I care.
No,
I don't know. I just like cards to have value.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. Right. Right. I'm trying to find that one card that gets reprinted. Like every said, it's a green card.
Oh, the
Colossal Dreadmaw.
Yeah,
Colossal Dreadmaw. That's what it is. Every single set for the most part.
I would be fine if they just kept printing lightning bolt in standard sets every single time.
Yeah,
like,
lightning
do
bolt.
that.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I'll take a crack at this though. But what is there something that I am particularly looking for or would like to see from Ravensburger when it comes to the community aspect of Lorcana? I think number one, I want them. I say this selfishly, but also not, because I think this is will be helpful for the game to grow, is having relationships with content creators.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
True.
I think and again, like this, I think this really does have community at its core.
Yeah.
Right. Because all of these, and again, we've been creating content before Lorcana was announced, right? But there have been plenty of content creators who specifically started creating content because of Lorcana.
Yeah.
And so I hope Ravensburger gets content creators on board, similar to what Magic does, Wizards does with Magic content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just hope Ravensburger starts developing and cultivating those relationships. And I know they have some relationships. There's one relationship in particular that I'm thinking of that I know, so I know they do this. Okay. So I'm hoping that they really take content creators and the community under their wing and say, hey, we got you. Mm-hmm. We are going to support you. We're going to give you anything you need. Again, within reason, right? Right. But we are going to support you. We want to support you. We want to see you grow. We want our game to grow. How can we do this collectively? How can we help each other grow your communities, right? Your content creator communities, but also how can we grow the community of Disney Lorcana? And I think a surefire way of not doing that is by actively not incorporating and including content creators. I think that's just me.
Yeah, it'd be a really nice thing.
Yeah.
Which is funny that you bring it up, because it didn't pop into my brain until you said it, right? With all the Splinterland stuff I do, they give a lot to their content creators, and we're contracted for them as well. Like they pay us money, and then they'll even give us more stuff to give out to the community as well.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I guess I was just like spoiled because that's already happening. But that's 100% right. Like no one else really even does that, except for maybe when a new set drops for Magic and they're like, oh, hey, here's a card that you can spoil.
Yeah.
I think like that's about it. I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh does anything like that.
I have no knowledge of what other games do other than what Magic does from here's a card that we're going to give you to spoil.
Yeah.
Like it's your card essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Now I know they do other stuff but again, I don't have any firsthand knowledge of the relationships that Wizards has with content creators. Like I mean, they partner with Command Zone all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, they're huge. Okay.
They used to not be, right? But they do amazing work. They do fantastic work.
Yeah.
Okay. And like that to me seems like a no-brainer relationship.
Honestly, even when they weren't huge, they were still like in the top 3 content creators, I would think.
What, in all of are you talking about in Magic?
In all of Magic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on what time frame we're talking about, but
even
I
at
wouldn't.
the first episode.
I mean, like they started because there weren't a lot of commander specific related content creators out there.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Seanede. So that's a perfect metaphor for a Seanede. Fill it.
Yeah.
Seanede, and then you fill that need.
Yeah.
Fill that niche. So, but yeah, that's probably the one thing that I really am hopeful for. From the standpoint of like what I would love to see from Lorcan. And again, like I don't say it selfishly, right? I just say it from the standpoint of this is a game that I'm really hoping that I want this to be my card game. Like I want this to be the game that it's the game that I play.
Yeah.
And it's the game that like that's all I do. Like that's what I'm hoping for that I get with Lorcana.
Wow, Dan's looking to quit Magic over here.
Hey, I'm never going to quit Commander.
I'm
never going to quit Commander.
He's like, I want this game to take over my life.
But the thing is though, like we talked about this before we started recording. When's the last time you played Magic?
It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
Same. The last time I played Magic was what format? What format was the last?
Commander?
Same. Like that's the only way that I play Magic.
The last time I played was with you.
Probably.
And the group of 5 we had that night.
Oh yeah.
He loved that night. That was a good night.
Noah, you will never, ever.
It was fun. All right. So the one time our one friend Noah gets to join our play group, I even asked, I'm like, oh, hey, can Noah join? Because I knew he had this effed up deck. I knew. So Noah's playing land destruction, which is kind of a no-no in Commander, right? It's kind of a no-no.
Yeah, kind of a no-no.
And he makes an entire deck based around it.
Yep.
And he kind of messed up with like stuff he was looking to do. He was like, oh yeah, I'm going to look to tempo burning lands on people. I'm like, dude, you got 4 other people here. You can't be tempoing land destruction.
Just do it, get it over with, and then we can move to the next one.
You got to start building, you know?
Yeah.
But I was playing I forget the exact...
You played Talrand.
What was allowing me to play stuff off of his deck?
It was, oh my goodness. I can't remember what the card was.
I forget.
But was that card off of yours?
Oh, I think I copied it. I think I cloned it off of... Oh, I cloned it off of Noah, I think. Didn't he play something? And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be playing stuff. I don't know who it was.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I had a card that allowed me to clone someone's effect or clone someone's card, and then I was playing off the top of someone's deck. Except I was playing off the top of Noah's, who was playing land destruction.
Yeah.
So I ended up blowing up more lands than he did.
Yeah.
And so yeah, people hated him, but even though it was really me doing all the bad work.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Turns out Noah is never allowed back at my house to play Commander ever again. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, we still had a good night. We still had a good night, even though Yeah, we're just Don't play land destruction in
Yeah,
Commander.
that's a no.
Although you can if you want to, I guess.
Yeah, but you know what is
But you're going to risk never coming back to that pod ever again.
But you know what? There's a card that you should be playing in every single game you play, Dan.
What's that?
It's the card of the week.
Oh, we are going into the card of the week. We're going to go into the card of the week, guys. This is the worst version, but there's history to this card. There's history to this card, and that's why we're going to talk about it today. But it is a Demonic Tutor. Demonic Tutor is a black sorcery. This was printed in alpha. So this card has been around. This is the OG Tutor, Demonic Tutor sorcery for 1 and a black. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. So, okay, as card game players, this is another one of those terms that gets thrown around all the time, tutor. So tutor, all that means is you search for a card. You're searching for a card and either putting it in your hand, deck, wherever. It's you're finding a certain card. So this card in particular, I said has history. You know, it was the first tutor printed for Magic. Okay. Yep. So tutor effects primarily are found in black. Okay. Although they're better, I was reading somewhere where it said like they're typically better in blue, which I mean like they are. I mean typically because blue's got much more spells. Why do you say this?
I say this because black is, I believe, the only one that has pull any. Well, red has also pull any card, where most of blues are just instant sorceries.
What I'm saying is blue typically has better instant sorceries that you're finding.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, typically black is where you're going to be the one that says find any card.
Find any card.
Yeah. Pretty much on all the other ones, your tutor effects are going to be very specific for what you're looking for. Like blues are going to be like Jim said, find an instant or a sorcery. Yeah. White is like find an enchantment. Green is find a creature.
Aura? Or isn't it also auras? Or enchantment auras. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, because that's enlightened tutor, an artifact or enchantment.
Ah, okay.
Yep,
okay.
that's what that one is.
What is greens?
Creatures.
Typically
creatures.
That's right.
Yeah.
And reds is you find anything, but you might discard.
And then you discard. Right.
So you don't know.
Right. You don't know what you're
Hopefully
discarding.
you didn't top deck this gamble to go search for something.
Yeah, green is creatures or lands.
Ah, yeah.
Green's creatures or lands.
What's wrong with Matt Kitty?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, right.
Go search for a land.
So okay, so Demonic Tutor, I think in the original artwork, pretty sure it was in alpha. Or I can't remember what.
Didn't it have the pentagram?
It did. They did have the pentagram. Yeah. Okay. And so that card, I gotta see. Here we go. There was if you are at all familiar, okay, or maybe you even remember, okay. Yeah, it was there in alpha. Right. So I'm pretty sure it was
Oh, it's beautiful.
Alpha. So
beautiful.
The demon had a pentagram etched in his forehead. Okay. And so the circles that I grew up in, that was a big no-no. And there was a lot of hullabaloo brought up about that card because of the pentagram. The whole demonic witchcraft and all that stuff. And I mean,
they did a good job on the artwork. They hit it. They were spot on.
Yeah, right. But I mean, if you grew up in the 90s, like maybe you remember this because like it was a big deal. I mean, America, the West in the 90s was very different than it is in 2020, 2022, right? I mean, in general, America was way more conservative in the 90s than it was now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that being said, like there were things that were talked about on a national scene that are like back in the 90s that now are just like commonplace for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, whether you think that's right, wrong, indifferent, doesn't even matter, right? It's just a recognition of the past and then comparing it to today's day and age.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, like I remember I remember when this was a big thing, because like this made like national headlines from what I remember, because again, this was talked about in a lot of my circles. Okay. And so there were other cards in Magic that had the pentagram, and they were most typically they were found in the black cards, right? Because that was Black's color identity.
Question: were those circles fine with invoke prejudice?
But see that I don't remember. I don't remember. No. Right. But that's actually an interesting point though, because I don't remember that ever even being talked about.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I wasn't into Magic.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like I was not into the Magic scene or what was going on in Wizards in the 90s.
Yeah. I didn't even know Magic was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Like I remember it was a thing. Like, I mean, I actively remember this.
Yeah.
Right. But like the whole invoke prejudice thing, I only knew about that card when it made headlines. Was that a year ago?
A few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
around
a
Rona
couple years
time.
ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Around Rona time.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean.
I know.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Right. But in any case, going back to it, right, in the 90s, the whole pentagram thing, right, those were making a big splash. And then Wizards ultimately decided they changed up the artwork and removed pentagrams. Okay. Now there's definitely still artworks out there with the pentagrams on it. I think they just did that just to not save face, but just to keep the negative publicity, to make it subside essentially. So, yeah, that's a little history lesson if you're younger and you did not know that. But yeah, I remember that thing. It was very interesting.
For all of those who Magic the Gathering is older than, that's for you.
Yeah.
That's not for me. I'm older than Magic.
Yeah, same.
2 months, Dan.
Yeah. So, all right. So again, Demonic Tutor. That card is essentially where the term tutor comes from, is demonic tutor. There's been plenty of tutors, a lot of tutors since then.
Dan was going to pull out the vampiric tutor. And
The better one, the actively better one.
Oh, I'm going to get demonic. I'm like, but why?
Just the history.
Speed costs less, but get rid of 2 HP. Worth it.
Absolutely worth it. Yeah, vampiric tutor is definitely better. You should definitely run it. If you're running demonic, definitely run vampiric. But you can't go wrong with the history. Yeah. You can't go wrong with the history. I think historically speaking, demonic tutor is a more important card than vampiric tutor is.
Because it was the first.
Yeah, because yeah, exactly. So
I mean, could it have been possible that they just made a different tutor, just not called it demonic tutor?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of those what ifs, right? That's one of those what ifs that could.
If this card never
answered.
came out, we would never have tutors. I doubt we would never have tutors.
Well, did I say that? I don't think I said that.
No.
Okay,
no.
right.
I'm just more so throwing it out into it. It's like if demonic tutor never existed, we would never have tutors. No,
probably not. Yeah, no, that's definitely not a thing.
Yeah, no,
that's not a thing that's actively happening.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's the episode. That's the card of the week. Demonic tutor. Jim, what's your favorite tutor? Do you have a favorite tutor?
Ooh, my favorite tutor. What's one that looks for lightning bolt?
Probably
all of them.
Not the white one.
No.
It's the black one or the blue one?
Yeah, the black and blue. I think I'm going to go with a green tutor. Primetime can search
Primetime can search, yeah.
That can get me Valacut.
That's true, it can. And it definitely should.
100% it should.
Absolutely.
Unless you're really far behind.
Yeah, and then it'll find you
whatever that gain life one is.
Gain life one,
fountain, Fountain of Youth.
Radiant Fountain.
Yeah,
find Radiant Fountain. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what my favorite tutor is. Maybe my favorite tutor is Scry One, Draw One.
I know what my favorite tutor is. So Scry One, Draw One. Okay, I gotta find it here. If I want to see if it's actually listed here.
Okay.
I have the oh no, darn it. There's a green one, right? Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
No. I was going to say, I know what mine is. I forget what it's called, though. Phyrexian something. It allows me to take a card from my opponent's deck.
What?
Yeah. That was probably my favorite tutor in the entire game.
Phyrexian something?
I want to say it's called Phyrexian in the name.
Okay. So mine is Hour of Promise.
Okay.
Four and a grain sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 land cards. Put them on a battlefield tapped and shuffle your library.
Okay.
Then if you control 3 or more deserts, create 2/2 black slime creatures. That doesn't even matter. It's just find any 2 lands that I want.
Why do I feel like it was from Amonkhet?
It is Amonkhet,
Yeah.
No. Well, it's that block.
Yeah, block.
It's that
Hour
block.
Devastation?
Yeah, Hour Devastation.
Okay.
Yeah. Phyrex, huh? I got.
I forget what it's called. I need to find it. It's Phyrexian something. I'm fairly certain. You take a card from your opponent's deck.
Oh wait, not the one that if you're in control of the player if they're searching the library. That's not what. That's not what you're talking about.
No. That one's something. I don't. You're talking about the Demir 4-drop card.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
The one that everyone hates. I don't know what this one is. That you're looking for.
Yeah. Regardless, I'll find it, or if someone knows it, let us know.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here. So, is community important? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, community is literally one of the foundations for why we are doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like it's the backbone of
the world.
I mean, it is.
Changed my mind.
Like why do we have laws like for communities and for societies that they don't devolve into anarchy and chaos, right? I mean, I feel like I'm being a little hyperbolic here. I mean, I kind of am, but at the same time, I'm not though. Like kind of not, right?
Yeah.
Like communities are very important, okay? And don't lose sight of it. Okay. And I think for any company who comes out with a game, don't forget about the community. Like there will be a community, whether you want to or not, there's going to be a community that forms around your game because there's going to be people who love it. There's going to be people who enjoy it and they want to share that love with other people. They want to find people who enjoy and love your game. And so they're going to find each other. There will be a Discord that starts because of your game. Like we live in the day and age now that online communities are formed immediately upon a game's announcement.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy to me. And so I think companies, the people who are making these games, they know that. It's not like they don't know it. And like a lot of them are like, okay, well, how can we use this to our benefit? Like, yes, like use it to your benefit, but also don't throw it away. Don't disregard like what you are doing when you're announcing the game, because there's people who are going to be excited for it. Bring them under your wing. Give them the support that they're looking for. Maybe not necessarily that they're looking for, but show them that you're there and that you care about them. Yep. Okay. And so absolutely communities are important and the communities are going to be there for each other. They're going to be there for themselves to support themselves within the community and just to show people. And I see it every day, even just in all these Discords that I'm a part of. In the Disney Lorcana Discord, we just see all these conversations that are being had all formed because of, hey, here's a game that we're looking forward to. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right. Well, Jim, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH. You
guys can find me on Twitter at _DJ Campbell and on Twitter, Instagram at Daniel.g.Campbell. If you head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com, you can find links to all our social platforms, social content, YouTube, everything there. Head to our website, hobbiesandhappiness.com. Thanks everybody for being here. We had a great conversation. This was fun. Not. Did we go the place we thought you were going to go? Or what'd you think? What did you think we were going to go when I told you the topic of today?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of hit everything I was already thinking about, and then some more on top of it. So. Yeah.
And that's always what we're looking to do here at the Hobbies and Happiness Podcast, is give you more than what you bargained for.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See you, everybody.
Take care.
If the